There is a bottle sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now that you have probably never thought hard about. It is small, it is dark brown. It cost you between $2 and $6, depending on whether you grabbed the store brand or one that looked a little nicer. The label says vanilla extract, or maybe imitation vanilla flavor, or maybe vanilla flavoring, and you probably assume those phrases are more or less interchangeable descriptions of the same brown liquid. They are not. They are, in fact, wildly different products, and the difference between them is the difference between a tropical orchid pod that has been hand-pollinated, sun-cured for months, and steeped in alcohol, and a synthetic compound that was, in some cases, originally derived from a byproduct of the wood pulp and paper industry, or from petrochemical feedstocks, or from a fermentation process that uses genetically engineered bacteria to produce a single molecule called vanillin. When you pour that bottle into your cookies, your cake batter, your morning smoothie, or your child's birthday frosting, you may be adding an extract from a flower, or you may be adding a lab-synthesized approximation that was legal to call vanilla flavor because of an FDA standard written before modern synthetic chemistry even existed. Tonight, I want to pull back the curtain on the vanilla aisle, because the gap between the bottle you think you are buying and the bottle you are actually buying is wider than almost any other category of ingredient in your kitchen. I have spent the last 3 months on this investigation, and I want to be specific about the sources. I studied the FDA standard of identity for vanilla extract under Title 21, CFR 169.175, which specifies that pure vanilla extract must contain a minimum of 13 and 35 ounces of vanilla beans per gallon of extract, along with at least 35% ethyl alcohol. I reviewed the USDA's agricultural data on vanilla bean pricing, which has fluctuated dramatically over the past decade due to weather events in Madagascar, the source of roughly 80% of the world's vanilla supply. I examined peer-reviewed studies on synthetic vanillin production, including research in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry and Flavor and Fragrance Journal regarding the chemical fingerprint differences between natural and synthetic vanilla. I consulted reports from the Vanilla Bean Project and spoke with a food chemist who spent 15 years developing flavor compounds for a major American baking ingredient supplier. The reason this matters now, in 2026, is that the price of real vanilla beans has driven massive reformulations across the consumer vanilla market. Madagascar cyclones in 2017 and 2022 disrupted the global vanilla supply, sending wholesale prices above $600 per kilogram at their peak. Studies suggest that this pricing pressure has pushed more manufacturers toward synthetic and hybrid formulations, and the labeling standards have not kept pace with the reformulations, meaning what you are pouring into your mixing bowl is increasingly unlikely to be what the label in your memory promised. Let me begin with the category you most need to recognize and set aside. That category is imitation vanilla flavor, sometimes called artificial vanilla flavoring, and sold as a budget-friendly alternative to pure vanilla extract, often at price points around $1 to $3 for a 2-ounce bottle. This product contains no vanilla bean. Let me repeat that. The imitation vanilla flavoring in your cabinet may contain 0 actual vanilla. What it contains instead is synthetic vanillin, which is a single molecule, 4-hydroxy-3-methoxybenzaldehyde. That represents one flavor note out of the roughly 250 aromatic compounds found in a real vanilla bean. Synthetic vanillin was originally derived, starting in the late 19th century, from a compound called eugenol extracted from clove oil. For much of the 20th century, it was produced from lignin, a byproduct of the wood pulp and paper industry. Today, most synthetic vanillin is produced from guaiacol, which is derived from petrochemical sources, or from ferulic acid via engineered microbial fermentation. The FDA permits this synthetic vanillin in products labeled imitation vanilla or artificial vanilla. It is not illegal. It is not unsafe at the concentrations used in food. What it is, though, is a fundamentally different product from real vanilla extract, with a flat one-note flavor profile where real vanilla has layered complexity. If you have ever baked cookies that tasted a little chemical, a little thin, a little like they were missing something, the vanilla you used is almost certainly the reason. The second category to approach with caution is the bottle labeled vanilla flavor. or natural vanilla flavor without the word extract. Under FDA labeling conventions, a product labeled natural vanilla flavor may contain some real vanilla bean extract, but may also contain natural flavor, compounds derived from non-vanilla sources that happen to produce vanilla-like notes. One of the most interesting of these is castoreum, a compound historically extracted from the castor sacs of beavers, which in tiny quantities can produce vanilla and raspberry-like flavor notes. Castoreum is legal to use under the general natural flavor category, and while it is rarely used in large commercial products today due to cost and supply constraints, its historical use illustrates how broad the natural flavor definition really is. More commonly, modern natural vanilla flavor products use vanillin produced by microbial fermentation, which the FDA permits to be called natural because the source organism is a living cell. The result is a bottle that is legally labeled natural, but that contains little to no actual vanilla bean. The third category is the blended or compound vanilla, which mixes real vanilla extract with synthetic vanillin to hit a lower price point while maintaining some actual bean-derived flavor. These products may be labeled vanilla extract without the word pure, and the ingredient list may disclose added vanillin or natural flavors alongside the vanilla extract base. Now I want to slow down and take you into the deep dive section, because the difference between real vanilla extract and its substitutes is not just a matter of ingredient sourcing, it is a matter of flavor chemistry. A real vanilla bean, cured over months in the traditional bourbon Madagascar method, develops hundreds of aromatic compounds through enzymatic and microbial processes. These compounds include vanillin, yes, but also heliotropin, anisyl alcohol, guaiacol, cresol, and dozens of others, each contributing a subtle note. When you taste a cookie made with real vanilla extract, your palate picks up a cascade of flavor sensations that unfold over several seconds. Sweet floral, a hint of smoke, a whisper of leather, a bass note that is almost woody. This is why real vanilla elevates everything it touches. Synthetic vanillin, by contrast, delivers a single burst of that one characteristic note and then disappears, leaving nothing behind. A trained palate can distinguish the two instantly. An untrained palate may not consciously identify the difference, but will often describe the synthetic version as tasting less satisfying, less complete, more artificial, without being able to say why. A rapid tour of the sensory signals that separate real from fake. Smell your bottle. Open it. Take a long, slow inhale. Real vanilla extract smells deeply aromatic, with an almost rum-like base from the aged alcohol, a floral top note, and a warm-spiced depth. Imitation vanilla smells sharp, thin, and almost medicinal. Look at the color. Real vanilla extract is deep amber brown with a slight red cast when held to light. Imitation vanilla is often dyed brown, sometimes with caramel color, and may appear more uniformly dark or slightly off in tone. Shake the bottle. Real extract, due to its high solids content from genuinely extracted bean compounds, may leave a faint residue or slight cloudiness on the glass. Imitation vanilla typically remains perfectly clear. Check the label for the alcohol percentage. Pure vanilla extract must legally contain at least 35% alcohol to meet the FDA standard of identity. Imitation products often contain less, or use propylene glycol as a carrier instead of alcohol. I want to take you into the supply chain story behind vanilla, because understanding where real vanilla comes from will transform how you see every bottle on the shelf. Vanilla is the second most labor-intensive spice in the world, after saffron. The vanilla orchid, Vanilla planifolia, is native to Mexico, where it was originally pollinated by a specific species of bee. When the orchid was transplanted to other regions like Madagascar and Reunion Island in the 19th century, the bee did not come with it, and without its natural pollinator, every single flower has to be hand-pollinated. The hand pollination technique was developed in 1841 by a 12-year-old enslaved boy named Edmund Albius on Reunion Island, and his technique is still used today. A skilled vanilla farmer can pollinate perhaps 1,000 flowers in a single day. Each flower, if successfully pollinated, produces a single green pod that must then be harvested at precisely the right moment of ripeness, cured over weeks or months through a traditional process of scalding, sweating, and drying, and then aged until the flavor compounds develop. The entire process from planting a vine to producing a cured bean takes 3 to 4 years. One vanilla bean represents more human labor than perhaps any other food ingredient on Earth, which is why real vanilla is expensive. And why? The economic pressure to substitute synthetic alternatives is enormous. A few years ago, a series of cyclones and political instability in Madagascar drove vanilla bean prices above $600 per kilogram at wholesale, an almost 8-fold increase from historical norms. The price pressure created a crisis across the food industry. Ice cream manufacturers, baking companies, candy manufacturers, and household extract producers all faced the same decision: pay the higher price or substitute. Many substituted. The shift happened quietly. Formulations changed. Labels were updated to add the word flavor or flavoring, which allowed manufacturers to legally use synthetic vanillin or natural flavor blends without violating the pure vanilla extract standard of identity. Consumers who were not paying careful attention to the difference between vanilla extract and vanilla flavor moved from one to the other without realizing it. Studies suggest that a significant portion of the vanilla sold in American grocery stores today is not pure vanilla extract, and the shift occurred so gradually over the last decade that most shoppers never registered it. There is a growing movement among commercial bakeries, specialty food companies, and knowledgeable home cooks to return to real vanilla. And the return is making a noticeable difference in the quality of finished products. A pastry chef I spoke with for this investigation, who runs a small bakery on the East Coast, described the difference in stark terms. She said that when she switched from a high-end compound vanilla to pure Madagascar bourbon vanilla extract, her customers noticed within 2 weeks. They did not know what had changed. They just said the cookies were better, the cupcakes were better, the vanilla buttercream was better. She raised her prices slightly to cover the ingredient cost, and her sales went up. That is the story of vanilla in 2026. The difference between real and synthetic is not subtle. It is the difference between a rich, complex, layered flavor and a flat, one-note imitation. Human palates respond to that difference even when they cannot consciously identify it. Let me walk you through a specific experiment I want you to try this week, because the sensory education is irreversible once you have done it. Buy 2 small bottles. 1 pure vanilla extract from a known reputable producer, ideally Madagascar bourbon. 1 imitation vanilla flavor from any major supermarket brand. Pour a drop of each onto a separate spoon. Smell them first. Close your eyes and take 3 deep inhales of each. The real extract will smell complex, almost like a warm cocktail of rum, caramel, floral, and wood. The imitation will smell sharp, thin, and almost medicinal. Now taste them. The real extract will coat your tongue with a slow developing flavor that unfolds over several seconds. The imitation will deliver a quick burst of vanillin and then vanish. Now make a simple vanilla pudding, or custard, or cookie with each, using the same recipe and the same quantity, and taste them side by side. The difference will be obvious even to people who have never thought about vanilla before. Once you have done this experiment, you will never look at a bottle of imitation vanilla the same way again. It will feel like a betrayal every time you see it on the shelf. A rapid tour of the specific red flags to watch for in the vanilla aisle. A bottle that costs less than $4 and claims to be pure vanilla extract is almost certainly mislabeled or heavily diluted. A bottle that lists alcohol percentage below 35% cannot legally be called pure vanilla extract under FDA standards. A bottle that lists caramel color or added color as an ingredient is compensating for a lack of real vanilla compounds with synthetic appearance enhancers. A bottle that lists corn syrup or sugar as a prominent ingredient is a flavored syrup, not an extract. A bottle that uses the word compound or compound vanilla is a blend of real and synthetic, and while not inherently deceptive, is not pure vanilla extract. A bottle imported from certain countries with lax labeling enforcement may contain coumarin, a compound found in tonka beans that produces a vanilla-like flavor, but that has been restricted in the United States due to potential health concerns. Check the origin country carefully. If the bottle is sold at a suspiciously low price and labeled as imported, it may not meet American standards despite being legally sold. I want to talk for a moment about vanilla paste and vanilla powder, because these are alternatives that many home bakers are not familiar with, but that deserve consideration. Vanilla paste is a thick mixture of vanilla extract and vanilla bean seeds, which provides both the flavor of extract and the visual specs of real vanilla bean in the finished product. It is excellent for applications like custards, ice cream, and vanilla bean cheesecake, where the visible seeds enhance both appearance and flavor. A good vanilla paste is made from real vanilla beans and real vanilla extract, with minimal additional ingredients. Vanilla powder is ground. Vanilla beans, or a blend of vanilla extract dried onto a carrier, such as maltodextrin or sugar. Real vanilla powder made from ground beans is a premium product with intense flavor. Flavored vanilla powders made by drying extract onto a sugar carrier are a less pure but still useful product for dry applications like baking mixes. Let me give you a set of practical steps to take into the baking aisle this week. First, look for the words pure vanilla extract on the front label. That is a regulated phrase under FDA standards. The word pure carries specific meaning. Second, check the ingredient list. A real vanilla extract contains 3 ingredients: vanilla bean extractives, water, and alcohol. Sometimes sugar or glycerin is added in small amounts. Anything beyond 4 ingredients is a warning sign. Third, look at the origin of the vanilla. Bourbon Madagascar vanilla is the classic profile, rich and creamy. Tahitian vanilla is more floral and fruity. Mexican vanilla is traditionally spicier. Ugandan and Indonesian vanillas each have their own character. A bottle that specifies its origin is almost always a higher quality product. Fourth, compare prices honestly. A genuine pure vanilla extract from real Madagascar beans cannot be produced for $2 a bottle. If the price is suspiciously low, the product is almost certainly imitation, a blend, or a diluted formulation. Real vanilla extract typically costs between $8 and $20 for a small bottle, depending on origin and brand. Fifth, consider making your own. Real vanilla extract can be produced at home by slicing 3 to 5 whole vanilla beans and steeping them in 8 ounces of vodka or bourbon for 8 to 12 weeks. The result is a superior extract that you controlled from start to finish, and the cost per bottle, once you factor in reusability of the beans for multiple batches, is actually comparable to buying a mid-grade commercial extract. Sixth, taste test your current bottle against a known pure extract. Put a drop of each on a sugar cube and taste them side by side. The difference will shock you. Seventh, educate the younger cooks in your family. A generation has grown up thinking that flat synthetic vanillin is what vanilla tastes like, and the correction happens one cookie at a time. I want to end the deep dive portion of this investigation with a reflection on the economics of vanilla. The agricultural communities that grow vanilla, primarily in Madagascar, but also in Uganda, Papua New Guinea, Tahiti, Mexico, and Indonesia, depend on the vanilla trade for their livelihoods. The small-scale farmers who hand-pollinate each flower, who cure each pod, who process each bean, live in economies where the price of vanilla directly affects their families. When the world shifts to synthetic vanillin produced in petrochemical plants, the vanilla-growing communities lose their economic base. When consumers insist on real vanilla and are willing to pay a fair price for it, those communities can invest in better growing practices, better curing facilities, and better futures for their children. Choosing real vanilla is not just a culinary choice. It is, in a small but real way, a vote for a particular kind of agricultural economy. I do not want to overstate this. A bottle of vanilla extract is not going to transform global economics, but cumulative consumer choices do matter, and the choice to buy real vanilla instead of synthetic is one small act of solidarity with the farming communities that have made this ingredient possible for centuries. I also want to mention the growing movement toward vanilla bean cooperatives and direct trade vanilla sourcing, which allows consumers to buy vanilla from specific farms or cooperatives with traceable sourcing and often better prices for the farmers. Several online retailers now specialize in direct trade vanilla beans, and for home cooks who use significant amounts of vanilla, buying whole beans and making your own extract becomes genuinely economical. A pound of vanilla beans from a direct trade source, steeped in a bottle of vodka or bourbon, will produce enough extract for a year or more of baking, at a cost per ounce lower than most commercial pure vanilla extracts. The finished extract will be fresher, more potent, and traceable to a specific farm in a specific country. This is a project that turns vanilla from a mysterious bottle on a shelf into a direct connection with agricultural tradition. Here is what I want to leave with you tonight. Vanilla is one of the most luxurious flavors in the human pantry. It takes more than 3 years to grow a vanilla orchid to flowering maturity. Each flower must be hand-pollinated within a 12-hour window on the single day it blooms. The green pods are harvested and cured through months of careful labor, developing their flavor through a process no laboratory has ever fully replicated. What you hold in a bottle of pure vanilla extract is the distilled essence of a tropical orchard, a farmer's season, and centuries of agricultural knowledge. What you hold in a bottle of imitation vanilla is in many cases a single molecule synthesized from industrial feedstocks. Both are legal. Both are sold in the same aisle. Only one is vanilla in any meaningful sense of the word. You deserve the real thing in your cookies and your cakes and your morning oatmeal. Your family deserves to taste what vanilla actually tastes like. Upgrade one bottle, just one, and bake something this weekend. The difference will speak for itself, and you will never pour the imitation again.